you practice a religion?
No, not since I was about 13 when I started. I was sent to Sunday school from basically being absolutely tiny right up until I was around about 13, and then I was given the choice to not carry on, and I said that I didn't, so I stopped there.
So, and did you study RE at university?
No, I didn't. Well, I studied some theology, which I guess is the closest thing to it. I think it was about 4 units of it in my first year. We had to do elective modules, and that was one of the things I did. But my main degree was in philosophy, which again, it's a similar thing. It's talking about some of the big ideas that religion likes to talk about, but it does it generally from a non-religious point of view.
So you didn't always want to be an RE teacher then?
No, I had lots of ideas about what I wanted to be when I was younger, and RE teacher didn't really come into it until I was about, I guess, kind of 17 or 18. It was my RE teacher at school that really got me into it. He was very kind of inspirational. He's just one of those teachers that really kind of pushed you to think a little bit beyond your comfort zone, and that was what really got me into it. And it was then really at university that I kind of decided that's what I was going to do, and that's what I did.
Do you believe RE is an important part of a child's education, and why?
I think it's become increasingly important in the last 10 years, certainly since the attacks on the Twin Towers in 2001. Young people have to understand that they are, especially in this country, they're actually in a minority if they're an atheist. The vast majority of people around the world are religious. And to understand why people have those views is really, really important. It's not to say that those views are right or that they're wrong. It's that you have to understand that people are different to you, and that RE can help you to understand that. I think that's got to be the key kind of message of RE. And also that just because you've got an opinion doesn't make it the right opinion. And there doesn't have to be a right opinion. You have to be open to be able to accept what people believe in. So I think that's a really important thing. That's the major reason why I think RE is important. But on top of that, it's really important for everybody to think about what they believe. People might not be religious, but everybody's spiritual. Everybody has beliefs that they think are really important. Everybody values certain things, and I think that's what RE is about getting young people to realise that and to actually question, are their beliefs their own, or are they beliefs that they've kind of just grown up with? And I think it's important that people develop their own beliefs.
At the moment, RE is compulsory up to the age of 16. Do you think it should be continued to higher education?
Yeah, I mean, it is meant to be compulsory up to the age of 18, but you will find very, very few non-religious schools, anyway, non-faith schools, that make it compulsory up to the age of 18. I would say, when it's taught well, I think you shouldn't need to make it compulsory. I think that enough people will want to do it that you get the uptake at sixth form anyway, or at college anyway. I think more importantly than teaching religious studies up to the age of 18 would be to teach ethics and morality to people up to the age of 18, because that's pretty much something that is important for every single kind of occupation that you go into. Being able to say, this is what I believe about a situation, and this is the right way to act, and this is the wrong way to act, is important for most people, I think. And I think that perhaps be more beneficial to make compulsory.
The Coalition has decided to leave RE out of its new English baccalaureate. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is a real bugbear with RE teachers at the moment, that the government has kind of sidelined us. Again, I would say, to be honest, the challenge is to RE teachers, because if we hold our hands up and you look at the Ofsted reports, RE is not taught well across the country, and if it wants to be taken seriously as a subject and be included in something like the EVAC, it needs to be taught better, and at the moment I don't think it is. I think it's in a very strange place, RE. Unlike a lot of the other subjects that are taught, the content that you have to teach is prescribed by the government. You have to teach certain things in certain subjects, whereas in RE it's all agreed locally, and that means that if you've got good local authority, you'll have really good things to teach, but if your local authority doesn't really care, then it won't be taught well. So I think it's really important, basically, that if we want to be part of the EVAC, I think RE's got to up its game across the country. I don't think it's really the government's fault.
In a letter to the Daily Telegraph, senior lecturers say a 45% drop in the number of students being allowed to train as RE teachers will leave the subject being taught by untrained staff. What do you think of this, and do you hope that more students will be allowed to train in the future?
Yeah, I think this is one of the issues where we have got a legitimate claim to say, well, if we need RE to be taught better, we need specialists in it. And that's not to say non-specialists can't do a brilliant job, because I know that they can, and we've got non-specialists in this school who do a brilliant job. But if we really want to make RE something that has real impact, we need good quality teachers coming through to teach it, and that certainly will have an effect if there is a drop in the number of students being allowed to actually teach it in the future. So, yeah.
MP Stephen Lloyd said, "In today's world where our children can be open to an enormous amount of misleading information, I believe it is absolutely essential that they are taught about different cultures and religions by trained, experienced RE teachers, allowing children to make informed choices." So this is a view you share?
Yeah, definitely. We can't expect young people to enjoy the subject and get something out of it if the quality of teaching is not appropriate to it. At its best, RE is incredibly inspirational, and I think young people get a lot out of it, because once they realise it's not about forcing a religion down your throat and it's about what you believe and what you think, I think most young people are quite happy to discuss that and are quite keen to discuss it, but only when they're being questioned in the right way, and that comes through quality teaching. So yeah, it's definitely a view that I'd share.
Have you heard of Scientology?
Yes, I've spent a bit of time in America, in California, where Scientology is particularly kind of followed. So yeah, I do know a little bit about it.
What do you think about it?
Well, as with all religions, really, I think it's, I'm never particularly. I don't like the idea of kind of criticising religions from the outside too much, but I think some of the ways in which they act and behave does seem to alienate people and makes people suspicious of it. Certainly their views on shunning members who have decided to leave, so where families have been split apart because people have decided to stop being Scientologists. I think most people would find that objectionable, and I think that doesn't help their image in the world. But yet, if that's something that they believe, and they believe it strongly, then I can also see that point of view. I think it's difficult to judge it from a position where we're a long way away from it, especially with it being a largely an American religion. So yeah, I don't like to cast too many judgments, to be fair.
Scientology is taught in most American schools. Do you think it will ever enter the UK's RE curriculum?
I think it would be interesting to do it. I think, to be honest, we tend to focus on what we call the 6 major world faiths, and we do that because the vast majority of people who live in this country are Christian, Muslim, and then Hindu and Sikh. So we focus on those in the main, and there's a population of Jewish people and a population of Buddhist people, but in the main they're the religions that people follow. I think where it would be interesting to study Scientology is looking at religion in the media, because Scientology is a religion that really does live in a media age. It's really come into the spotlight through the media, both positively and negatively. So you look at people like Tom Cruise, who is obviously the most public kind of person who is a Scientologist. He perhaps presents the positive side of that religion to the world, whereas their dealings with documentary maker, BBC documentary maker, made them look very, very bad. So I think looking at them through the media would be an interesting thing to do, as it is with all religions, because it's something that a lot of religions are not doing very well to adapt to. I don't think, living in a media age. So I think it's already something that should be in curriculums, especially for older students.
What do you think of faith schools?
I think they're fine. I know that there are very often some of the best schools in local authorities, certainly in Leeds. It's a faith school, St Mary's Menston, which is the best school in the local area. And if that's the result, if young people are learning and progressing and doing well is the result of faith schools, then that's brilliant. Where I think they are a problem is if they start excluding certain groups of students from their school because they don't follow that particular religion, or where they are promoting ideas that aren't compatible the British kind of ethos, really, I guess. So if you've got a school that's saying that freedom and democracy is a bad idea, then I don't think that's something we should tolerate within our society, because we don't believe it as a society. It's not what we're about. So I think it's got to be done the right way. In the right way, they're brilliant.
However, do you feel that students with different faiths should be integrated in order to learn about different cultures and religions rather than just all in one faith school?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, like I say, the best of the faith schools are ones which actually accept people from all sorts of different backgrounds. Certainly you look at faith schools in places like Bradford, the Catholic schools that at one time would have been completely full of Catholic children, these days are very often filled with students from Catholic and Islamic backgrounds. But that's because they're actually very compatible religions. The main beliefs are certainly about the way that you act and behave are shared by Muslims and Christians. And so I think that works. But you're right that you need to make sure that young people are meeting people from all sorts of different backgrounds. And perhaps if they are in a faith school which is predominantly one religion, then there needs to be work that's done where they meet people from other faiths. I still think it's one of the issues we have in our school, is that because we're predominantly, have students from white backgrounds with either a Christian background or a non-religious background, I think some of the students in our school don't get the opportunity to mix with people from other religions in the same way that other students in Leeds do. And I do think that makes a difference to them, and I think it's important for them to have that opportunity to mix with other people. I think it's something we need to actually work on within our school, certainly within our RE, is actually to get our students meeting people from other backgrounds. So I'd agree it needs to be a key part of what any school does.
You don't think that people who practice religion should go to faith schools?
No, I think they've got every right to. I just think that the schools need to make sure that they do provide opportunities for diversity. I think it's important for people to feel like their children are being brought up in a way that they agree with, and I certainly know that there are certain things that they do in non-faith schools that parents would not want their children to be exposed to. So certainly some aspects of PSHCE, sex education, for example. In a Catholic school, Catholic children are taught what the Catholic Church teaches, which is that the best form of contraception is to not have sex. Well, in a non-faith school that doesn't happen. There's a much more range of advice given. So I understand why parents would want to see their child in a school which agrees with their beliefs. So I certainly think it's a parental choice, and it should be.
So why do you think we should bother teaching religious education to a mainly atheist society in the UK?
Well, mainly because I don't think we're an atheist society. I think you look at the figures, I think there's something like 43 million of the population of Britain are religious in some way, shape or form. I think it's about 13 million who are non-religious. And that might well be that there's a lot of people who are still putting that they are Christians down on their census forms when actually they've never seen a church in their lives, they've never been in. But regardless, people still seem to want to identify themselves with religion. It still seems to be an important part of people's identity, and so long as that remains, I think it's absolutely valid to be teaching young people about what these religions are. Because I have students who come into my classroom and say, well, I'm a Christian, aren't I, sir? Well, I don't know, do you go to church? No, I don't. But yet they still identify themselves as Christian. If they're going to do that, they should really make sure they understand what it means to identify themselves as a Christian. And I think often they don't. I think they misunderstand, and they think it's just about the colour of your skin. And I think it's really important for them to understand that it's not about that. It's about the way that you act and behave. And if you want to call yourself a Christian, I think you need to actually really show that you're a Christian in the way that you act and behave. So I think it is really important. I think young people need to know what religions are. Young people need to know what other people follow and believe, and I think we will always have religion in society, even in the UK, and as long as that remains, I think RE needs to remain.
Thank you very much for your time.